Question 1. Given the circumstances, Istipita is preparing to lift a large air handling unit using a crane on uneven soil. He notices that the unit's center of gravity is not aligned with the rigging attachment points. What should Istipita do to ensure stable and safe lift? A. Adjust the sling positions to align with the center of gravity and stabilize the load. B. Increase the crane speed to quickly lift the unit before it shifts. C. Add extra personnel to manually hold the load in place during lifting. D. Use single sling of one corner for simplicity. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Proper alignment of the rigging with the load's center of gravity ensures balanced tension across slings and prevents tipping or uncontrolled swinging. Increasing crane speed or relying on personnel to hold the load introduces serious safety hazards and potential OSHA violations. Using single sling on heavy, uneven load is unsafe because it creates unbalanced tension and risk of sling failure. Aligning slings with the sun. Gravity is fundamental principle in rigging to maintain stability and control during lifts. Question 2. In light of recent developments, Rivera is using a wire rope sling to hoist a condenser. Slings form an angle of 6 with the horizontal. Which factor should she most consider to prevent overloading the sling? A. The increased tension on slings due to the angle relative to the horizontal. B. The material of the condenser only. C. The color of the wire rope sling. D. The speed of the crane hook. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. While sling angles affect tension, the speed of the crane hook must be controlled to prevent dynamic loading, shock, or swinging, which can exceed the sling's rated capacity. Ignoring sling angles or material properties without accounting for movement can cause unpredictable stresses. Correctly calculating tension based on geometry ensures the load remains within the working load lid bubble air. Dynamic factors like acceleration or deceleration are critical in preventing sling failure, making controlled hoist speed primary safety consideration. Question 3. Through careful analysis of site conditions, Mr. Thompson finds the ground where a crane will operate is soft and uneven. He needs to lift a 2500 lb rooftop unit. Which action is the safest course of action? A. Use crane mats or outriggers to distribute the load on stable surfaces. B. Place the crane directly on the soft soil without modification. C. Increase crane speed to reduce time on unstable ground. D. Only partially lift the load to reduce stress on the ground. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Placing a crane on soft, uneven soil without stabilization increases the risk of tipping or structural failure. Partially lifting the load does not resolve instability and can create dangerous, unbalanced forces. Using crane mats or outriggers distributes the weight, increases ground contact stability, and prevents soil failure. Complying with OSHA and manufacturer guidelines, speed adjustments alone compensate for unstable footing. Proper ground preparation and stabilization are essential for safe operation during heavy lifts. Question 4. As illustrated by a complex rooftop lift, Kim must secure multiple slings for a condenser weighing 1800 lb. She chooses synthetic slings over wire rope slings. Which consideration justifies this choice? A. Synthetic slings reduce the risk of damage to the load surface and allow flexibility. B. Synthetic slings are inherently stronger than wire rope for all lifts. C. Wire rope slings are prohibited for rooftop equipment. D. Synthetic slings eliminate the need to calculate sling angles. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Synthetic slings provide load surface protection and flexibility, which is beneficial when handling delicate or coated surfaces. They are not always stronger than wire rope. The belay depends on material and configuration. Wire rope is widely used but may scratch or damage equipment if surface protection is not applied. Sling angle calculations remain essential for all materials to prevent excessive tension. The correct sling type requires understanding both material properties and the specific lift scenario rather than assuming universal strength superiority. Question 5. When considering an HVACR unit lift, Mr. Nguyen plans a critical lift where multiple cranes coordinate to hoist a 5000 lb chiller. Which is the most crucial element for success? A. Developing a detailed lift plan with synchronization protocols and communication. B. Relying solely on crane operators' experience without written instructions. C. Using the largest crane available without evaluating load distribution. D. Lifting the chiller without tagging the slings for identification. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Critical lifts require precise coordination, load distribution, and clear communication. A detailed lift plan ensures each crane's capacity is not exceeded and all personnel understand the sequence of operations. Relying on operator experience alone or using oversized equipment without analysis can introduce serious hazards. Tagging slings is essential for proper identification, inspection, and in compliance. Proper documentation and communication reduce the likelihood of accidents, equipment damage, or regulatory violations during complex multi-crane lifts. Question 6. The fundamental question is Wallace is inspecting shackles for a rooftop unit lift. He notices slight deformation in one shackle pin. What is the correct procedure? A. Replace the shackle immediately and do not use damaged hardware. B. Attempt to bend the shackle pin back into shape. C. Lubricate the shackle pin and proceed. D. Use the shackle only for smaller lifts. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Deformed or damaged rigging hardware compromises load integrity and safety. Using a bent shackle can lead to sudden failure under load, violating OSHA regulations. Attempting to bend the pin or lubricating it does not restore structural integrity. Even for smaller loads, damaged shackles remain hazardous. The only safe approach is immediate replacement with certified hardware rated for the required REU inspection is a core rigging safety principle to prevent accidents during lifting operations. Question 7. From multiple perspectives, is Garcia must move a 1200 lb packaged rooftop unit across a cluttered job site using a forklift, which is the safest practice. A. Secure the load properly, ensure balance weight, and drive slowly. B. Lift the unit without securing it, relying on speed to clear obstacles. C. Drive at normal speed, assuming the forklift can handle sudden shifts. D. Tilt the forks excessively to force the load over obstacles. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Material handling safety requires the load to be properly secured, evenly balanced, and moved at a controlled speed. Driving too fast, tilting forks excessively, or neglecting securing measures risks tipping the forklift or dropping the load, which can cause severe injury and damage. OSHA guidelines emphasize load stability and slow operation in congested areas. Correct handling reduces dynamic shifts, maintains center of gravity control, and protects personnel and equipment during transport. Question 8. In a context of a rooftop installation, you must communicate with the crane operator over ambient noise exceeding 85 dBA. Which communication method is most reliable? A. Two-way radios with headsets designed for high-noise environments. B. Standard hand signals only. C. Shouting commands across the site. D. Visual cues without confirmation from the operator. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. In high-noise environments, standard hand signals remain a reliable communication method because vocal commands can be drowned out and misinterpretation can occur. Two-way radios with noise-canceling headsets are also effective but require proper training and maintenance. Shouting or using unconfirmed visual cues is unsafe and violates communication best practices. Clear, standardized signals reduce the risk. Miscommunication, accidents, or dropped loads, ensuring compliance with OSHA and industry guidelines for lifting operations. Question 9. While examining a 3000 lb rooftop HVAC unit, Robinson is planning a lift with a single-point hoist. Which factor should she prioritize in sling selection? A. Sling type to accommodate the unit's weight and configuration. B. The aesthetic appearance of the sling. C. Using the longest available sling regardless of angle. D. Ignoring load distribution as long as the hook rating is sufficient. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Choosing a sling requires evaluating material type and proper configuration to distribute load safely. The longest sling without considering angle may create excessive tension or instability, potentially leading to failure. Ignoring load distribution or relying solely on hook rating ignores critical factors like sling geometry, load balance, and safety margins. Proper assessment ensures the unit lifted securely without exceeding sling capacity or introducing tipping risks, aligning with recognized rigging standards and manufacturer recommendations. Question 10. According to recent studies, Mr. Evans is preparing to lift multiple HVAC components simultaneously. The lift involves complex rigging angles and limited access. Which protocol should guide his decision? A. Conduct a thorough risk assessment and develop a detailed lift plan. B. Lift immediately to save time, trusting operator intuition. C. Assign multiple operators without clear coordination. D. Skip sling inspection to expedite the lift. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Complex multi-load lifts demand careful planning, risk assessment, and proper inspection of all rigging components. Skipping inspections or relying solely on intuition risks equipment failure, dropped loads, and severe injury. Proper coordination and documented lift plans ensure angles, slings, and personnel actions are safe and compliant with OSHA and industry best practices. A thorough assessment of the environmental factors, equipment limitations, and personnel safety, which are critical for executing complex lifts without incident. Question 11. While examining a rooftop unit placement, Istakata notices that the load's weight is unevenly distributed across the pallet. Which action should he take before using forklift to move it? A. Adjust the load and center it on the pallet to ensure balanced lifting. B. Tilt the forklift forks to compensate for uneven weight. C. Move the load at full speed to minimize instability duration. D. Only lift one side of the pallet to test weight distribution. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Balanced weight distribution prevents tipping and reduces stress on forklift components. Tilting forks or lifting one side can cause sudden shifts, potentially dropping the load. High-speed movement amplifies instability and can result in damage or injury. Properly centering the load ensures that the forklift center of gravity aligns with the load, complying with OSHA and manufacturer guidelines. This step is critical for material handling and protects both personnel and equipment during transport. Question 12. From the perspective of rigging safety, Alan is preparing to lift a 2200 lb condenser with a sling arrangement forming a 45-degree angle. What must she calculate to avoid sling failure? A. The increased tension on each sling caused by the lifting angle. B. Only the vertical distance the load will travel. C. The aesthetic placement of the slings on the load. D. The ambient temperature of the job site. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Sling angles directly affect tension. A 45-degree angle increases the load on each sling compared to vertical lifting. Ignoring this can exceed the working load limit and risk failure. While vertical travel distance and temperature are operational factors, they do not address mechanical stress. Proper sling placement considering the load geometry and calculated angles ensures stability and safety. Aesthetic concerns irrelevant, whereas precise engineering principles and angle-based tension calculations are essential to maintain OSHA compliance and prevent accidents. Question 13. During the process of a multi-crane lift, Singh notices that one crane is slightly out of sync with the others. What is the best immediate course of action? A. Pause the lift, communicate adjustments, and resynchronize all cranes. B. Continue lifting to avoid project delays. C. Increase the load on the other cranes to compensate. D. Disconnect the out-of-sync crane and lift with the remaining cranes. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Synchronization in multi-crane lifts is critical to prevent unbalanced loads, equipment strain, and potential accidents. Continuing without adjustment risks tipping or overloading individual cranes. Adjusting or pausing ensures each crane shares the load equally. Overcompensating or disconnecting. A crane can create uncontrolled load shifts, violating safety protocols. Effective communication and deliberate synchronization align with OSHA guidelines for critical lifts, ensuring structural integrity, personnel safety, and proper mechanical load distribution throughout the operation. Question 14. Considering the evidence, Lopez is rigging a rooftop air handler with synthetic slings. Which is the primary advantage of synthetic slings for this lift? A. They are gentler on the load surface and reduce potential cosmetic or structural damage. B. They automatically adjust for all sling angles. C. They eliminate the need to calculate load weight. D. They can replace wire rope in all heavy lifting scenarios. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. Synthetic slings are non-abrasive and flexible, protecting delicate surfaces, which is valuable for HVACR units. They do not inherently auto-adjust angles or eliminate the need for accurate load-weight calculation. Improper tension can still occur. They are not universally superior to wire rope for all lifts. Load weigh-up and environmental factors determine suitability. The choice of synthetics balances protection, strength, and flexibility. Understanding these limitations ensures safe lifting practices, compliance with OSHA standards, and prevents sling or load failure during critical operations. Question 15. While evaluating the merits of different shackles, Mr. Baker discovers a slightly corroded shackle on his hoist. What should he do before proceeding? A. Replace it with a certified shackle rated for the load. B. Use it anyway since corrosion is minor. C. Lubricate the shackle and inspect later. D. Bend it back to original shape and continue. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Corrosion compromises the integrity of rigging hardware, reducing tensile strength and risking catastrophic failure. Minor corrosion is still unsafe and bending or lubricating does not restore structural capacity. Using a certified replacement ensures the shackle's bullion aligns with the load, complying with OSHA and manufacturer standards. Pre-use inspections are fundamental to rigging safety, as even minor defects result in dropped loads or injuries. Ensuring all components meet specifications before lift is essential for personnel protection and operational reliability. Question 16. To what degree does HRConquer need to adjust his lifting plan when moving rooftop HVAC unit in high winds exceeding 25 miles per hour? A. He must reassess the lift and consider delaying until conditions improve. B. Ignore wind and proceed using standard procedures. C. Increase crane speed to complete the lift before wind changes. D. Only rely on the weight of the load to resist wind forces. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Wind introduces lateral forces that can destabilize suspended loads, increasing risk of tipping, swinging, or loss of control. Standard procedures may not account for dynamic wind loads. Completing a lift quickly without adjustments increases hazards. Delaying or reassessing ensures personnel safety and compliance with OSHA weather-related guidelines. Simply relying on load weight does not counteract wind forces. Proper risk mitigation, including lift delay or enhanced stabilization, is necessary for safe operation in challenging environmental conditions. Question 17. Through the lens of rigging inspection, Jordan is examining synthetic slings before a 1500 lb condenser lift. What is the most critical factor to evaluate? A. Check for cuts, abrasions, or chemical damage that RST. B. Focus on the color of the sling to match team standards. C. Verify the sling length visually only. D. Ensure the sling can lift twice the load without calculation. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Pre-use inspection focuses on structural integrity, ensuring cuts, frays, chemical damage, or wear do not compromise barrier. Ignoring these risks can cause sudden sling failure, injuries, or equipment damage. Visual length verification or color standardization does not address safety. Arbitrary doubling assumptions are unsafe. By systematically inspecting all slings and replacing compromised ones, personnel adhere to OSHA regulations and best practices. This reduces hazards, ensures lifting efficiency, and maintains safe handling of HVACR equipment in various operational contexts. Question 18. When faced with a rooftop unit lift obstructed by structural beams, Mr. Davis must decide how to rig the load. Which approach is conceptually safest? A. Use multiple slings configured to distribute weight around obstructions and maintain load stability. B. Pull the load over beams using ropes without evaluating angles. C. Lift at a single point to avoid complex rigging. D. Let workers manually guide the load under beams. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. Safe rigging around obstructions requires multiple slings and careful weight distribution to prevent shifting or tip over. Lifting at a single point or using manual force introduces high risk, potentially overloading a sling and creating uncontrolled swinging. Ignoring sling angles or obstructions can excitable and violate OSHA safety guidelines. Proper rigging design considers geometry, load, center of gravity, environmental constraints to maintain stability, control, and compliance, reducing the likelihood of dropped loads or personnel injury during roof-to HVACR lifts. Question 19. Within the framework of mechanical advantage, Huang is using a block and tackle system to hoist a 600 lb rooftop unit. How does she ensure efficiency and safety? A. Calculate mechanical advantage at the level of each component to prevent overload. B. Pull as quickly as possible to reduce time. C. Use the weakest available rope for testing. D. Only estimate the weight without verification. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. A block and tackle multiplies force but does not increase RLEL of components. Accurate calculation of mechanical advantage ensures load distribution and prevents overloading ropes, slings, or hardware. Pulling quickly using substandard rope or estimating weight introduces dangerous uncertainty and violates safety standards. Safety in mechanical advantage systems requires proper load calculation, component verification, and adherence to rated capacities. Following these principles prevents accidents and ensures compliance. OSHA and industry rigging best practices. Question 20. A demonstrated by a complex lift scenario is that AMA needs to maintain a safe perimeter during a rooftop chiller installation, which practice best mitigates personnel risk. A. Establish exclusion zones and clear visual and audible warnings. B. Assume workers will stay clear without communication. C. Only use verbal instructions without signage. D. Permit non-essential personnel to stand nearby if supervised. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Personnel and crowd control is critical for safety during lifts. Establishing clear exclusion zones, signage, and audible alerts prevents accidental entry into danger areas. Relying solely on verbal instructions or supervision without physical barriers is insufficient, especially with swinging or heavy loads. Clear demarcation reduces risk of injury from dropped or swinging equipment and aligns with OSHA regulations. Ensuring all team members understand and respect the perimeter maintains operational control and protects personnel throughout the lift. Question 21. When analyzing a rooftop unit lift, Mr. Simmons notices that the hoist rope shows minor fraying near the top hook. What is the correct course of action? A. Replace the rope immediately and do not use the hoist until verified safe. B. Apply lubricant and proceed with the lift. C. Ignore the fraying since it is minor and continue. D. Cut the rope and splice it before lifting. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Frayed hoist ropes compromise the tensile strength and can fail under load, posing serious safety hazards. Lubricating, ignoring, or splicing a damaged rope does not restore rated capacity and violates OSHA standards. Pre-use inspection is critical for rigging safety, ensuring all lifting components are free of defects. Immediate replacement with a certified rope protects personnel, prevents dropped loads, maintains equipment integrity. Following proper maintenance protocols is essential to safe roof-to HVACR lifts. Question 22. In the context of moving a 2000 lb rooftop chiller with multiple slings, Patel must coordinate with the crane operator under high ambient noise. What is the most effective communication method? A. Use standard hand signals and confirm acknowledgement visually. B. Shout instructions across the site. C. Rely only on intuition without communication. D. Use hand signals without visual confirmation. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Clear communication is vital for lift coordination, especially in noisy environments. Standard hand signals with confirmation are reliable, while shouting may be insufficient but can supplement in emergencies. Ignoring communication or failing to verify acknowledgement introduces high risk of miscommunication, causing load imbalance or accidents. Effective communication ensures personnel safety, correct load move, and compliance with OSHA rigging and signaling requirements, preventing dropped loads or collisions during multi-sling rooftop lifts. Question 23. Considering the evidence, Mr. Ramirez plans to lift an air handler weighing 1800 lb with slings forming a 6-didig angle. Which principle must he apply to avoid overloading the slings? They calculate the increased tension on each sling due to the angle from vertical. B. Only consider the total weight of the load. C. Assume slings can handle extra tension without calculation. D. Ignore the angle if the load seems balanced. Answer. Correct answer. See explanation. Sling angle increases tension exponentially as it deviates from vertical. Failing to calculate the resulting load per sling can easily exceed the bear, risking failure. Simply considering total weight or assuming slings can handle extra tension is unsafe. Proper tension calculation using trigonometric principles ensures each sling operates within its rated capacity, maintaining load stability and preventing catastrophic failure. Ignoring angles violates OSHA standards and rigging best practices for safe HVACR rooftop lifts. Question 24. While examining rigging gear, Johnson identifies a worn shackle pin. Which action best ensures safety? A. Replace the shackle with one rated for the load before use. B. Lubricate the pin and use it cautiously. C. Bend the pin back to shape and proceed. D. Use it only for light lifts below half the D. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Any visible wear or deformation in shackles compromises their structural integrity. Lubrication, bending, or underloading does not restore original strength, and even light lifts can stress the compromised component unpredictably. Replacing the shackle with a certified, load-rated alternative ensures compliance with OSHA regulations and maintains safety during HVACR lifts. Routine pre-use inspections, fundamental to preventing drop loads and accidents, safeguarding personnel and protecting equipment. Question 25. Through careful analysis, Mr. Thompson is lifting a 3,500 lb rooftop condenser using a single point hoist. Which factor is most critical for safe rigging? A. Aligning the sling with the load's center of gravity. B. Moving the load quickly to save time. C. Using the longest available sling without considering angle. D. Relying solely on crane rating without inspection. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Aligning the sling with the load's center of gravity is essential for balanced lifting. Rapid movement or ignoring angles introduces dynamic forces and instability, increasing risk of sling failure or load tipping. Relying solely on crane rating without inspecting slings, hooks, and rigging gear can result in overloading components. Proper planning ensures that the load remains stable, forces are evenly distributed, and safety regulations are met. Center of gravity alignment combined with pre-use inspection is the cornerstone of safe HVACR lifts. Question 26. From multiple perspectives, Brown must plan a lift of a rooftop unit during strong, gusty winds. Which step is most aligned with best practices? A. Postpone the lift until wind conditions subside. B. Increase crane speed to complete the lift faster. C. Lift using a single sling to reduce surface area exposed to wind. D. Ignore environmental factors if the load is below crane capacity. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Wind can introduce lateral forces that destabilize suspended loads, causing swinging or tipping. Lifting in unsafe conditions violates OSHA guidance and increases accident risk. Using a single sling or ignoring conditions does not mitigate dynamic wind forces. Postponing the lift ensures personnel safety, maintains load control, and preserves equipment integrity. Environmental assessment is an essential component. Rigging and lift planning, particularly for rooftop HVACR installations where elevated loads are more susceptible to wind hazards. Question 27. During a rooftop installation, Mr. Lee notices that several synthetic slings have minor abrasions. What is the proper procedure? A. Remove and replace any damaged slings before lifting. B. Continue using them if the damage seems minor. C. Wrap the slings with tape to hide abrasions. D. Use only for secondary, lighter loads. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Even minor abrasions on synthetic slings reduce tensile strength and can cause sudden failure. Using damaged slings, wrapping them, or underloading is unsafe and non-compliant with OSHA and manufacturer standards. Replacement with certified, undamaged slings ensures safe lifting operations, protecting both personnel and HVACR equipment. Pre-use inspections and adhering to RTBL are essential components of rigging, particularly for rooftop lifts where sling failure could result in severe injury or drop loads. Question 20. In what ways can Istacata ensure safe personnel control during a critical rooftop lift? A. Establish exclusion zones and communicate them clearly to all personnel. B. Assume workers will avoid hazards on their own. C. Only use verbal instructions without physical barriers. D. Permit all personnel to observe closely if supervised. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Personnel control is vital for preventing accidents near suspended loads. Physical barriers, signage, and clear communication create safe exclusion zones. Relying solely on personnel awareness or verbal instructions is insufficient and increases the risk of injuries. Supervision without proper barriers does not meet OSHA safety requirements. Clear demarcation, active monitoring, and exclusion zones ensure that bystanders remain outside potential hazard areas during lifts, reducing the likelihood of drop load injuries or crane-related accidents. Question 29. While evaluating mechanical advantage, Singh is using a block and tackle system to hoist a 1000 lb condenser. Which factor is most important for safe operation? A. Variable and mechanical advantage of all components. B. Pull the rope as fast as possible to save time. C. Use the weakest rope available for testing purposes. D. Estimate the weight without verification. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. A block and tackle multiplies force but does not change RL of individual components. Verifying component capacity ensures that neither ropes, slings, nor pulleys are overloaded. Rapid pulling, weak ropes, or estimating weight introduces dynamic forces and risks catastrophic failure. Proper calculation of mechanical advantage combined with inspection of each element maintains safe lifting conditions, dropped loads, and ensures compliance with OSHA and industry best practices for mechanical hoisting of HVACR rooftop units. Question 30. Under the assumption that multiple HVAC components must be lifted simultaneously, Mr. Evans needs to plan a complex lift. What is the safest approach? A. Develop a comprehensive lift plan including risk assessment and coordination protocols. B. Lift immediately to expedite the project. C. Use multiple operators without structured communication. D. Skip sling inspection to save time. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Complex lifts require detailed planning, load distribution assessment, and clearly defined communication to prevent accidents. Lifting without preparation, skipping inspections, or uncoordinated operation can cause unbalanced loads, sling failure, and severe injuries. Conducting a thorough lift plan, assessing hazards, and ensuring all rigging components are rated and inspected align with OSHA regulations and practices. Safe execution depends on proactive risk management, personnel coordination, and verified equipment integrity for multi-component roof-to-HVACR lifts.